You are surrounded by them. Every single day. At work, at home. In positions of power. They were never qualified to hold. People who speak the most. And understand the least. People whose confidence is in perfect inverse proportion to their actual intelligence. And if you are watching this video, you already know the exhaustion I am talking about. The drain of navigating a world that seems designed for people operating at a fraction of your capacity. But here is the dark truth, that most intelligent people spend their entire lives never discovering. The problem is not them. The problem is how you are responding. Arthur Schopenhauer was perhaps the most brutally honest philosopher who ever lived. He had no interest in comfortable lies, no patience for polite fiction. He looked at human beings with cold, clear, completely unsentimental eyes. And what he saw disturbed him deeply, not because people were evil, because they were unconscious, moving through their lives on complete autopilot, driven by impulses they had never examined, making decisions they could never honestly justify, speaking with absolute certainty about things they had never genuinely thought about. He called this the cognitive structure required to process the information correctly. Simply is not there. You cannot fill a vessel that has no capacity to hold what you are pouring, and every moment you spend trying to pour anyway is a moment of your intelligence, your energy, your irreplaceable time, spent on something with zero return. Marcus Aurelius called this the waste of the interior. The first lesson is complete, genuine, permanent release of the need to make them understand. The second truth is more dangerous because it looks like stupidity, but it is something far more calculated. Schopenhauer described a specific type of person he found more threatening than the simply ignorant, the person who argues not to find truth, but to win, who defends positions not because they believe them, but because changing position would feel like defeat. The third truth is the one that costs intelligent people the most, without them ever noticing. Do not let them drain you. The intellectually limited person does not just cost you time in direct interactions. They cost you something far more valuable: your cognitive energy, the finite daily allocation of focused intelligence that determines what you can actually create, actually think, actually build. Schopenhauer observed that the most common failure of genuinely intelligent people was not stupidity, it was misallocated attention, thinking about conversations they had already had, replaying arguments they had already lost, rehearsing responses to people who would never hear them. He described this as the full renting space in the wise man's mind, living there for free, consuming the most valuable cognitive real estate available, without contributing anything in return. The intelligent person who lies awake at night, rehearsing what they should have said to someone who will never hear it, is not being intelligent. They are being occupied. Their mind has been taken over by someone who never deserved access to it in the first place. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this with extraordinary precision. He returned to his own interior every single morning before anyone could claim access to it. He practiced what he called the discipline of attention, the deliberate, daily return to what was actually his judgments, his values, his present moment, his actual work. Everything else, every replayed argument, every imagined confrontation, every mental engagement with someone not even in the room, was borrowed suffering, and borrowed suffering always costs more than it. The way a blade dulls, not from one powerful blow, but from 1,000 small contacts with surfaces not worthy of it, He wrote, "The more we mix with others, the more we lose ourselves. Solitude is not isolation. Solitude is the intelligent person's natural habitat, the place where the mind can function at the level it is actually capable of, without the constant friction of mediocrity, without the continuous, low-level cognitive tax of navigating conversations that offer nothing and demand everything. The practical application is not withdrawal from the world. It is selective presence, being completely present with those who deserve it, and strategically unavailable to those who do not with cruelty, with the calm, clear-eyed application of a fundamental truth. Your time is finite. Your attention is finite. Your intelligence, as a resource, is finite. Every moment spent on what is not worthy is taken from what is. The fifth truth is about the unavoidable situation when you must interact, when the fool is your boss, your colleague, your family member, someone you cannot remove without consequences you are not willing to pay. Schopenhauer's approach was not warmth, but it was strategic. He called it the art of apparent agreement. When engagement is unavoidable, engage on the surface. Give the minimum required, never the interior, never the real judgment, never the actual assessment of what is happening. Nod at their conclusion. Acknowledge their argument. Let them have the appearance of the win. And then do exactly what you were going to do anyway. Because the fool, satisfied with the appearance of winning, is no longer watching what you are actually building. They are too busy celebrating the surface victory to notice what the sixth truth is, the dark one, the one that makes people deeply uncomfortable when they hear it stated directly. Stupidity, insufficient concentration, is not just annoying, it is dangerous. The history of human catastrophe is not primarily a history of evil people. It is primarily a history of unconscious people, people with power and no wisdom to use it, crowds driven by impulses they never examined, systems organized around the preferences of the many, simply because there were more of them. Schopenhauer did not believe in the wisdom of crowds. He believed the crowd was the primary architect of almost every human disaster, and his instruction to the intelligent person who understood this was not despair, it was preparation. See it clearly, without comfortable fiction, without the naive expectation that reason will prevail, simply because it is reasonable. Build your life, your work, your relationships, your daily environment, with clear-eyed understanding of what you are actually navigating, not what you wish you were navigating, what it actually is. And from that foundation, make decisions that account for reality, rather than the version of reality you would prefer to exist. This is not cynicism. This is the most sophisticated form of intelligence available to any human being. Seeing accurately, acting accordingly. The seventh and final truth, the one that holds everything else, is this: the intelligent persons, genuinely rich in a world full of ideas that fascinate them, work that completely absorbs them, a relationship with their own mind, so complete and so satisfying that the noise outside simply does not reach the interior, not because they built walls, because they built something more interesting than the noise, and in that interior, they are free, free from the fool's opinion, free from the crowd's judgment, free from the exhausting, ultimately pointless struggle to make the unconscious conscious. This is the final lesson. Build your inner world so completely, so richly, so deeply yours, that the world's stupidity becomes what it always was: background noise in someone else's story, not yours. Drop this in the comments if you understand. I protect my intelligence. Subscribe to Dark Stoic. And watch. Become dangerously smart. Next. Because the mind you are building is only just beginning.